So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time within 30 minutes so that your current affairs get covered on a daily basis, but you do not have to spend your entire day reading the newspaper. Within 30 minutes, you'll be done for the day as far as current affairs are concerned. Your entire day is freed up and now you can spend it as you want it. Now, along with this lecture, we are going to share the notes of this lecture also so that you can revise, because revision is important for remembering these current affairs for longer periods of time. Now, these notes can be found on our Telegram channel. And where can you find our Telegram channel? Well, below this video in the comment section, you'll find a link. That link will take you to our Telegram channel from where you can download the notes and do the necessary revision. Please do not forget to revise, because through revision, you will be able to consolidate these current affairs in your memory. All right, let's begin our discussion. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics we are going to cover in today's lecture. Okay, so number one topic is controversy over NHRC, that is National Human Rights Commission Chief. So recently, Government of India appointed NHRC Chief, and opposition parties, mainly Congress party, has alleged that the government has not taken their approval and they have unilaterally appointed this chief without building enough consensus. Okay, so what is this body NHRC? How is its chief appointed? And what role does opposition parties have in the appointment of NHRC? We'll talk about this. Then an editorial featured in Indian Express newspaper about regenerative farming. They say that regenerative farming, if applied to India on a national scale, then it would solve the problem of food security as well as would help us fight against climate change. It would lead to sustainable agriculture. So, what is this regenerative farming? We'll talk about this. Then, 2024 marks the 100th anniversary of the iconic Belgaum session of Congress, which was the only Congress session that was presided over by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was never the president of Congress except in this session. Okay, and it's the 100-year anniversary of this session. So we'll talk about this. Then recently, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation released annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises survey. Okay, so what is this ASUSE survey? Who releases it? Well, I've mentioned Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, but what is the significance of this survey? And basically, what is the significance of unincorporated sector? So we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about a river linking project which would link rivers Ken-Betwa. Its foundation stone was recently laid by Prime Minister Modi, officially inaugurating this project. So we'll talk about this project. All right. So these are the 5 issues we will focus on. Please give me your 100% and let's begin with topic number 1, which is controversy over NHRC chief. So the Congress party has called the selection of the new chairperson of NHRC a predetermined exercise that ignored the established tradition of mutual consultation and consensus. Okay, basically, the Congress party has leveled the allegation that the chairperson of NHRC was appointed without consulting them and without taking their opinion. And that sets a wrong precedent, that sets the wrong tradition. Okay, because traditionally, opinions of opposition parties have always been taken before appointing NHRC chief, and a consensus candidate is basically appointed. Okay, so Congress is saying that you are not taking opposition parties on board for such an important post. This is dictatorial and you shouldn't do that. Now, this begs the question, what is NHRC? Right? National Human Rights Commission. Now, as the name suggests, National Human Rights Commission basically takes care of human rights in India. Okay, so in case there is a violation of human rights in India, well, NHRC is empowered to investigate that matter. NHRC is also empowered to give recommendations to the government to improve the state of human rights in India. So NHRC is the nodal body when it comes to human rights in India. Now, it was established in 1993, and remember, it is a statutory body. By statutory body, we mean that it was established by an act of parliament. Okay, and what was that act? Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. And this act was enacted because government of India made some international commitments to the world. Okay, these commitments are known as Paris Principles. So many countries agreed to Paris Principles. Now these Paris Principles talks about or gives guidelines as to how human rights commissions of different countries should behave. Okay, India agreed to these Paris Principles or guidelines, and to agree to these Paris Principles or to implement these Paris Principles, India had to enact PHRA, under which NHRC was set up. Now, who are the members of NHRC? What is the composition? So NHRC will have a chairperson. Okay, he or she will be the head of NHRC. Now, the chairperson of NHRC should be either Chief Justice of India or a Supreme Court judge. Then it will have 5 full-time members and 7 deemed members. Okay, now these people are appointed by President on the recommendation of a 6-member committee. Okay, so to appoint the members of NHRC, a committee is formed. This committee has 6 members, and whatever recommendation this committee gives to the president has to abide by this. Now, who are the members of this committee? So, Prime Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Leader of Opposition in both houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and Home Minister. Okay, so these are the 6 members, and as you can see, Leader of Opposition of both houses of Parliament is also part of this committee. Now, what Congress party is alleging is, Congress party is saying that your people are in majority in this committee. Look, PM is from BJP, Speaker is from BJP, right? Then leader of opposition is opposition, but Home Minister is from BJP. So because you have a majority in this committee, you are pushing your candidate without taking the opinion of leader of opposition. And this is dictatorial. This is what Congress's allegation is. All right. Now, we talked about National Human Rights Commission, so let's talk about the role and responsibilities of NHRC. So basically, yes, right. One more thing, as far as the term of these people is concerned, the term of members of NHRC. So the chairman and members will hold office for the term of 3 years or until they reach the age of 70. Now, NHRC ensures the protection of rights related to life, liberty, equality, basically human rights. Those human rights which are enshrined in our constitution and international agreements. Okay, so those will be honored by NHRC. Now, what are the powers of NHRC? If NHRC is investigating an offense against human rights, then it has the power of a civil court to investigate it. It can ask for government servants to assist NHRC in conducting that investigation. It can investigate matters within 1 year of their occurrence. Yes, you have to remember that. If a human rights violation occurred, but NHRC took cognizance of that 2 years post that event, then it can't be investigated. Okay, it has to be investigated within 1 year. Okay, now remember, NHRC's NHRC's judgments or conclusions are only recommendatory in nature. They are not, I mean, the government of India is not forced to comply with them, but their recommendation power is enough. Okay, so it is recommendatory in nature. Please remember that their conclusions are recommendatory, and they can only investigate offenses within 1 year. Just remember these 2 things. All right. Okay, now let's move on to our next news item, which is related to regenerative farming. Now listen carefully. Look, India has the highest population in the world, 145 crore, and India has a significant achievement. It has the highest population in the world, but it produces enough food to feed these 145 crore people. So basically, India is self-reliant in food production. Okay, but India was not always self-reliant. There was a point in time when India couldn't produce enough food to feed its own population and was dependent on developed countries for food aid. Okay, but then after some steps of the government, which includes Green Revolution, 60s, 70s, 80s, India became self-reliant in food production. Now, how did India achieve this? Well, India took two steps. First, to increase food production, India had to expand land under cultivation. So, India had to increase agricultural area so that more food can be produced. The second point was the area on which food was being grown. India had to take steps, or government farmers had to take steps so that you can grow more food on the same piece of land. So you had to take steps to increase the yield on existing land. So first you'll expand area under cultivation, then the area under cultivation you would try to produce more food with less land. So you'll try to increase yield. Okay. Now, increasing yield on a small piece of land is intensive agriculture. Okay. So India followed this twin strategy of increasing food production: expand the land. Number two, increase the yield on existing land, intensive agriculture. Okay. Now, for intensive agriculture, India launched Green Revolution, which told farmers to use chemical pesticides, chemical fertilizers, use more water, and whatnot. Okay. But these two strategies were able to increase India's food production to such a level that India became self reliant. But now, the problem is that India's population is continuously increasing. In fact, the demand for food by this increasing population is increasing 2 to 3% every year. Okay? Estimates suggest, or experts suggest, that to keep up with this demand for food, India has to increase its food production by at least 50%, by half, by 2050. Now, the problem is that there is not enough land which can be put under cultivation, because urbanization is happening, cities are growing, India has to also increase its forest area. So there is limited land to increase or to put under cultivation. So this strategy can't be followed to achieve self-reliance by 2050. Plus, the strategies followed to increase yield are also exhausting. These strategies for intensive agriculture involved green revolution practices, using more fertilizer, using more pesticides, using more water. Now, the days of green revolution and intensive agriculture are over, because the steps taken to increase the yield have already exhausted soil, have already exhausted water reserves, have already polluted the soil because of overuse of fertilizers and pesticides. So even yield cannot be increased because we have damaged our ecosystem to such an extent because of intensive agriculture. Okay, so land area cannot be increased. You cannot increase yield because soil has been exhausted. So, what is the answer? How can India keep up with this 2 to 3% of annual increase in food demand? Well, the answer is regenerative agriculture. Okay, regenerative agriculture is basically a form of sustainable agriculture. Okay, so what is regenerative farming? It is a way of farming to build and improve soil fertility. It also helps in capturing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, so it helps in fighting climate change. Increasing crop diversity on farm. Okay, increasing farm diversity, which means on the same piece of land you have to grow different crops. Okay, so you shouldn't grow only wheat and rice. That's what happens in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP: wheat, rice, wheat, rice, wheat, rice, right? No, you should have crop diversification. On the same piece of land you can do animal husbandry also. Okay, on the same piece of land you can grow forests, which is known as agroforestry. So if you use your farm for growing crops, different crops, animal rearing, agroforestry, then this is called increasing farm diversity. Plus improving water and energy management. So all of this constitutes regenerative farming. So you keep your soil covered, you maintain living root year around. That means zero tillage or minimum tillage of land. Okay, minimum disturbance, maximize crop diversity, integrate livestock into your farming. So don't just do crop farming, use animal rearing on the same land also. It includes practices like recycling of farm waste, using compost instead of fertilizers and pesticides, agroforestry, zero tillage, etc. Now, what are the benefits of regenerative farming? First of all, it will help you to fight against climate change because it absorbs more CO2 from the atmosphere than it emits. So you'll fight against climate change. Then, using regenerative agricultural techniques, you will improve the health of your soil, which was damaged because of overuse of pesticides and fertilizers. So your soil health would improve. If your soil is healthy, then you don't need more fertilizers or pesticides because your soil has enough nutrients. So it would reduce your input cost also. Plus, if the soil is healthy, it would eventually in the long run improve yield also, but in the long run. Okay, so your costs come down because you don't need that much fertilizer and pesticide. Okay, so your expenses come down as far as farmer is concerned. Yield is also improved. So food security problem is also solved. So this is the answer. You cannot expand land under cultivation. You cannot be more intensive, more fertilizer, more pesticide on the same piece of land because that has damaged our soil immensely. Okay, so regenerative agriculture is the answer. Now, a few more statistics regarding why we need regenerative agriculture. Okay, first of all, agriculture has become expensive. As per UN Food and Agricultural Organization, the social, health, and environmental costs of agriculture has reached $12 trillion annually. That's a lot. Plus, because of chemical farming, soil fertility has declined. Now, if soil fertility declines, then your soil does not have enough nutrients to improve your crop, right? Therefore, you add more fertilizers because your soil is dead. It is not supporting your crop. Therefore, you have to add more fertilizers, okay, which increases your cost of fertilization. Plus, soils have become so dead that during 1960-69, 5.1 kg of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium did the job. Now your soil is so dead that you require 12.1 kg of grain per 21 kg of grain per kg NPK. That means you require 12.1 kg of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium to grow some grain, equivalent amount of grain. Okay, that to grow the same amount of grain, you need more fertilizer, which again boosts your costs. Okay, damages soil. So it is a vicious cycle which is destroying the food systems all over the world. Therefore, you need regenerative agriculture. All right. Okay. Now let's shift focus to third topic of the day, which is Belgaum session of Congress. Now, Belgaum is a place in Karnataka. Okay. It is now called Belgavi, but in 1924, it was called Belgaum. Okay. Now, this place is famous for the historic Congress session. Okay. As you know, if you have studied modern history, Congress used to conduct annual session before independence, right? So, this 2024 marks the 100th anniversary of this historic 1924 Belgaum session of Congress, and the Congress party is holding extended session and a rally on to mark the 100th anniversary of Belgaum session in 2024. Okay, so Congress is organizing many events in Belgavi, which was called Belgaum, to mark this 100th anniversary. Okay, this is to commemorate the centenary or 100th anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi presiding over Congress's historic Belgaum session as party president in 1924. Now, the thing is, why is this 1924 Belgaum session of Congress so historic? What is its significance? Okay, so first significance is that it is the only Congress session which was presided over by Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was the tallest leader in Congress, but he never became the president of Congress for a year. Okay, this was the only time in 1924 where he presided over Congress's session. That's it. So it is significant from that point of view. Okay. Today, Belgaum is in Karnataka, but back then it was part of Bombay Presidency. Okay. And this session is famous for Mahatma Gandhi's address, Mahatma Gandhi's points. Okay. Mahatma Gandhi in his Belgaum session laid emphasis on non-violence. He said that only through non-violence we can achieve independence. He also said that without communal harmony, there is no point in achieving independence. Now, that communal harmony includes Hindu-Muslim unity plus caste-based unity among Hindus also. All right, untouchability should be abolished. Plus, he also basically he explained the concept of Swaraj in this historic session. Okay, Swaraj was first articulated during the Belgaum session. In fact, this was such an historic session that it was even attended by tall Muslim leaders of Khilafat movement, Muhammad Ali, Shaukat Ali, Ali brothers. Okay. Now, what was the impact of this session? So Gandhi laid emphasis on following: non-violence, communal harmony, satyagrahis should be perfect, and he laid emphasis on khadi, spinning and weaving. Now, historians believe that it is because of this session that rural India became part of Indian national movement. Earlier, only urban educated elite were involved with Congress. This made rural India, masses, part of this. Okay. Plus, it also gave a boost to khadi and village industry. All right. So, this was the Belgaum session of Congress, whose 100th anniversary is being celebrated in Belgavi, Karnataka. All right. Then, fourth point, or fourth topic: data from ASUSE survey. Okay. Now, the thing is, every year, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, MOSPI, right, short form, comes out with a survey. Okay. That survey is called Annual Survey of Unincorporated Sector Enterprises. Okay. Now, you have to understand what are unincorporated enterprises. Now, unincorporated enterprises are those enterprises which are not corporate in nature. No private limited company, no. These are enterprises which are non-corporate. Okay. So, for example, a shopkeeper, a street vendor, right? These are people who are not corporates, but they are self-employed. They have their own business, right? So people who have their own business, but they are not corporatized, they are not established as a corporate entity, are called unincorporated sector enterprises. And the significance of unincorporated sector is that it generates a lot of employment, especially in rural areas and semi-urban areas. Okay, it absorbs the semi-skilled labor force also, so it generates a lot of jobs. Okay, it is very important for the rural local economy. That is why MOSPI conducts a survey. Okay, ASUSE. Now, as per the recent survey, they said that 84 lakh establishments like shopkeepers, street vendors, they have come out, and 1.1 crore jobs were added this year. Okay, so this is good news. This sector, the sector that employs informal workers, okay, or the sector called unincorporated sector in which workers are employed, it saw 13% increase in wages of people also. Okay. Now, the number of people employed in unincorporated sector is 12.06 crore, of which 5.61 crore are in rural areas and 6.45 crore are in urban areas. So, this sector employs a lot of people, and that is why we need a survey for this. Okay. Now, this survey gave some good news that more jobs were created, new enterprises came out. But let's talk more about ASUS. So, it is released by MOSPI on annual basis. What are unincorporated non-agricultural sector? So, these are non-corporate businesses that are not related to agriculture. Okay, like small businesses, self-employed shopkeepers, street vendors. Okay, these people. Now, what is its significance? So basically, ASUS gives data on unincorporated enterprises. Okay, this data includes number of workers hired in unincorporated enterprises. What is the gross value added? What are the wages paid? How many assets are owned? How much debt these enterprises owe? So economic data related to unincorporated enterprises is released through this. Now, this data is very important for making policies, especially policies made by MSME industries, textile industry, because most of the textile industries are unincorporated. Labor and employment. Okay. Data from ASUS is closely monitored as unincorporated sector employment generation capacity and absorption of labor force. That is why people lay so much emphasis on ASUSE, because ASUSE involves those sectors which generate the most employment. Okay, that's about it. And now we move on to our last news item, which is Ken-Betwa river linking project. So Ken and Betwa are two rivers which are tributaries of Yamuna. Okay, right bank tributaries of Yamuna. Now, there is a lot of water in Ken, but there is water scarcity in Betwa. So, Government of India decided to transfer surplus water in Ken to Betwa so that this water scarce region also has availability for water. Okay. Now, this Ken Betwa river linking project was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on December 25th on the 100th birth anniversary of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Okay. Now, this river linking project basically is part of National Perspective Plan. Now, National Perspective Plan was released in 1980. Okay. And this National Perspective Plan talked about 30 river linking projects. Okay. Ken-Betwa is just one of them. Among these 30, 16 are for peninsular rivers. Okay. In southern India, basically. Ken-Betwa is part of the peninsular river linking project. And 14 for Himalayan rivers. Okay. Ganga, Indus, Satluj, all that. So, National Perspective Plan talked about 30 river linking projects, 16 peninsular, 14 Himalayan. Ken-Betwa is among these 16 peninsular. Okay. Now, Union Cabinet has approved 44,000 crore for this project in December 2021. Now, more about this project. So, as you can see, this project would actually serve, basically it would serve Bundelkhand region. Okay. And Bundelkhand region partly lies in Uttar Pradesh, partly lies in Madhya Pradesh. So it would serve Bundelkhand region of UP and MP, as you can see over here. Okay. This is Betwa river, this is Ken river. So it will transfer water from Ken to Betwa, which are both tributaries of Yamuna. The Ken-Betwa link canal will be 221 kilometer in length, including a 2-kilometer tunnel. Now, who is going to this project? So because UP and MP are involved, so state governments of UP and MP would implement this project, and Union Ministry of Jal Shakti will implement this project. So all three of them would together implement this project. The idea is that this project should be completed in 8 years. All right. Now, what are the benefits of this project? Well, it would supply drinking water. It would generate hydropower because a dam would be constructed to feed the canal that would link Ken and Betwa. It would generate solar power also, because on the canal you will have solar panels to reduce evaporation of water from the canal. Okay, but this would generate solar power also. 13 districts of Bundelkhand region in UP and MP would benefit. Plus, it would also be a good lesson for the river linking projects. Okay, but there are various concerns also, and opposition parties are not happy with those concerns. Okay, first is that it would lead to large scale deforestation, because this region lies in forest area. This region, Ken-Betwa region, has Panna National Park and Tiger Reserve. So it would lead to deforestation in this area. Plus, the dam that would feed the Ken-Betwa link canal is Dodhan Dam, and it would lead to submergence of 98 square kilometer in Panna National Park, which would again destroy wildlife in that area. It would affect Ghadial population in Ken Ghadial Sanctuary. Plus, it would displace many families because a lot of land would get submerged because of construction of dam. So these are the environmental concerns, but these are the benefits. And government is going ahead with this project. All right? Okay. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would have add more value if you revise this lecture also. Please do not forget to revise this lecture. It is very important for remembering these current affairs. Okay? Revise this lecture, download our notes from our Telegram channel, and consolidate them. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.